All right, Cowboys Nation, stop scrolling because this one's gonna get wild. The Dallas Cowboys just made a move that no one saw coming. Jerry Jones is clearly not done loading up, and he just added a brand new weapon to the offense. Yeah, a running back is coming to Dallas. And trust me, once you hear who it is, you're gonna understand exactly why Jerry pulled the trigger. But before we reveal the name, do me one quick favor. Smash that like button, and if you bleed blue and silver like I do, hit that subscribe right now. We're pushing for 11,000 subscribers here on Dallas Cowboys Today, and every one of you helps us get closer to that goal. This is the home of true Cowboys fans. Passionate, loud, and ready for that first Super Bowl of the century. Now, what's really interesting about this signing isn't just who the Cowboys got, it's why they did it. Because Jerry's decision came right after some brutal national takes about this team, and the rest of the NFC East started rolling in. In today's show, we're going to break down what NFL analysts are saying, the biggest surprises, the biggest disappointments, not only about the Cowboys, but about our rivals, the Eagles, Giants, and Commanders. Because believe it or not, all of that directly ties into why Jerry Jones decided to go out and get this new running back. So let's dive in. Was this move desperation, or the final piece that could finally push Dallas over the top? Let's find out.
About the NFC East now. You know, the NFC East has not had a repeat champion since 2004. Of course, the Eagles ran the table. Prior to that, I believe they won it 4 straight times. Looking like history's going to repeat itself, unfortunately, in 2025. The Eagles with the only winning record in this division, followed by the Cowboys at 3-5-1. The Commanders got some good news with Jaden Daniels. He's not going to require surgery on that dislocated elbow. And then the Giants. Oh, the Giants. We thought they had a chance, and then the injuries. It has been a tough 2025. So let's talk surprises and disappointments with our guys, Ryan Wilson and John Breach. Jacqueline mentioned it earlier. We're going to do a little role reversal here. So, Ryan, I hope you enjoyed being Mr. Positivity. We need you to lean into your Pete Prisco a little bit in this segment. And John Breach, give us a little bit of that positivity. Let's start at the top with the Eagles, guys. Not a ton of surprises, really. I think there was a lot of conversation about them with the chance to be Super Bowl champions again. But when you look at this team, Breach, what has surprised you about the Philadelphia Eagles?
Haley, I am surprised that this team is in first place. And now hear me out before Eagles fans start sending me angry emails. But when you look at what they have done statistically this year, they have been outgained in 7 of their 8 games. Saquon Barkley has disappeared. He's barely on track to crack 1,000 yards. The team is averaging less than 200 passing yards per game. They're one of the 5 worst teams at converting on third down. So it's been absolutely atrocious. I do not know how they are in first place. But the positive thing here is that despite all of that, and as badly as things have gone for the offense, is that they are in first place. So it was one of those things where a lot of things did go wrong, but it's still working out just fine because they are 6-2. Sure, there's a little bit of infighting and bickering, but that happens every year with the Eagles. They always figure things out. And then you start to ask, well, why and how are they winning games if their offense is struggling so much? And it's one, because they don't turn the ball over. They only have 3 turnovers on the year, which is the fewest in the NFL. And then they're defensively, they have one of the best red zone defenses in the NFL, a top 3 in the league. And if you're not giving up touchdowns, your offense is allowed to struggle. So the Eagles being in first place, a little bit of surprise, but it does feel like they're going to repeat as champs.
Haley, Breach is literally, no joke here, I'm using literally correctly here, one of the most positive people I know. So for him to waver a little bit and hardly be upbeat about the Eagles is a surprise for me. I will take the other side of the argument, which basically is going to be repeating what Breach just said, weirdly enough. But Saquon Barkley specifically with that run game has been a huge concern. Not entirely his fault. The offensive line has not looked anything like it looked last year. Mekhi Becton has left to go to the Chargers. There have been some injuries along the interior offensive line. And Saquon Barkley finally got his first 100-yard game, went for 150 before the bye against the Giants. Prior to that, the highest he had gotten was 88. A year ago at this time, he had already done plus 100 at least 3 times, maybe even 4. And one of those games, sorry, Jacqueline, was the jump over backwards against the Jaguars game where he went absolutely ballistic. So Can they get the run game going? I would imagine so, but I think Breacher's larger point is an important one, that it is kind of crazy that this team is in first place. Given how mediocre they've been, I suspect they'll figure it out. They'll get Saquon going, and then, as you mentioned, Haley, there's a really good chance they're going to win this division again.
Well, and I guess the surprise, as the Cowboys fan in this group, there is no surprise for me in terms of who should be winning this division, because when you've seen the way that the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Commanders have all played this year, the Eagles have, God, it pains me to say this, the Eagles have far been the best team in that division. Let's talk about the Cowboys, though, guys. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Breach, and say that your biggest surprise, and maybe Ryan's biggest disappointment, is that Cowboys defense.
Well, my biggest surprise, I know what Ryan's disappointment is going to be. I don't want to steal his thunder. So I'm going to go with Javonte Williams as my biggest surprise. When the Cowboys said goodbye to Rico Dowdle during the offseason, that was a surprise, because it was like, well, who are you planning to have at running back? And it was Javonte Williams. You look at what Javonte Williams has done for the past 2 years in Denver. He averaged 3.6 yards per carry, 3.7 yards per carry. So it was like, why are you bringing in this guy to be your heavy-hitting running back who is not even averaging 4.0 yards per carry? And then what did Javonte Williams do? He came out and he has played very well this year. He's been one of the few bright spots, one of the unexpected stars of the offense. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry, which kind of came out of nowhere. And the fact that he's successful and the fact that the Cowboys have been able to run the ball is very helpful, because that means the offense can stay on the field, they can chew up the clock, which means the defense isn't on the field, which is always big news for the Cowboys because their defense is so bad.
Yeah, now you get it, Breach. This is how you do it. You applaud the great things that are happening, and that offense is certainly great. And Haley, yeah, not a hard one to predict here. The defense has been, if not historically bad, close to it. Apparently, it's something like that can happen if you trade Micah Parsons and don't have a real backup plan. The good news is, look, man, they traded for Quinnen Williams. I love that. I love Kenny Clark as part of the Micah trade. You talked about it, Haley. DeMarvion Overshown's back now, or close to being back, and he is so good in the middle of that defense when he's healthy, but he's just struggled to stay healthy. They traded for Breach's guy, Logan Wilson. We'll see if he can add anything. But when you look across the board, they're struggling to prevent explosive plays. They can't get consistent pressure. They don't stop teams on critical downs, and they're terrible in the red zone. Other than that, amazing on defense. So Matt Eberflus has to figure that out. And I have to mention the fact that they lost Marshawn Nealon as well. And Haley, you and I were in Indianapolis 2 years ago at the Combine. Mm-hmm. We talked to him on the podcast. Just a great young man. And that certainly hurts that team on a lot of levels outside of football. But the other thing is, someone with 2 teenage boys, and Breach has 2 young kids, just checking on your people, make sure they're okay, because you never know.
Thank you for that, Ryan. We're actually going to chat with Amy Trask later in the show about that, so appreciate it. It has definitely been a tough week for a lot of those players. I talked to DeMarvion Overshown yesterday just about everything. He says that he's in good spirits, so hopefully we see him after the bye week. Let's move on and talk about the Commanders, guys. This, to me, is the biggest surprise in this division. Everyone thought that Jaden Daniels was going to continue to cook, and yet here we are. Breach, I know that they've had some injuries this year. Jaden Daniels obviously in that mix, but what has been the biggest surprise for you this year in Washington?
Wilson's disappointment must be rubbing off on me, because my biggest surprise is how bad the defense has been. When you look at what they did last season, they were able to make that run to the NFC title game because Jaden Daniels was carrying them. The defense struggled to stop the run. They were pretty good at stopping the pass, but you figured, hey, Dan Quinn's a former defensive coordinator. He's a defensive-minded coach. He will fix things, and they will improve, and they will be a Super Bowl contender this year. Well, none of that happened. This team has given up the 4th most passing yards. They're giving up the 5th most total yards. They can't stop anyone. And one huge problem for the Commanders' defense has been a very basic one. They can't tackle. They have the 2nd most missed tackles in the NFL. Wilson, you know who's the first? The Cincinnati Bengals. So you look at those 2 teams, Bengals and Commanders, can't tackle anyone. Well, both their defenses are struggling. So even if Jaden Daniels has been able to stay healthy, I'm not sure this team is at the top of the NFC East race or in the playoff conversation, just because of how the defense has been, and it has been so bad that it's left me surprised.
Yeah, Haley, Breach did not understand the assignment. I'm disappointed in the defense. Let's see here. Has been a no-show so far. So basically what Breach said, the reason they can't tackle anyone is because guys are running so wide open, they don't have a chance to get to them. The other thing I would just mention quickly is that Emmanuel Forbes, their former first-round pick before Adam Peters and Dan Quinn arrived, Turning things around for the Rams. So you moved on from a first-round pick at cornerback. I understand why in the moment, but sometimes the guys you have are worth trying to coach up and see what you can get out of them, especially when this unit stinks as much as it does right now.
I just think that Breach wants to be the bad guy so bad. Like, he's just got a little main character energy right now on this segment. Breach, I'll give you first word and final word here when it comes to the Giants. What has surprised you or disappointed you or both about the G-Men in 25?
Wilson, I wore the black shirt. I thought it made it obvious I was going negative no matter what. But you know what? With the New York Giants, not a lot of hope in the Big Apple, so I am going to go positive here. My biggest surprise is Jackson Dart, the obvious one. When you see him play right now, you start to think, why didn't they just play him in week 1? You didn't need to throw Russell Wilson out there to be a sacrificial lamb for a couple weeks. If he had started the season, maybe they have a couple more wins. And you look at him, yes, he's 2-4 as a starter, but he is not getting any help from a defense that's given up 33 points or more in 3 straight games. But you look at what Dart has done. He's the first rookie in NFL history, looking at it right here, to have a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown in 4 straight games. When you have your quarterback producing points like that, you can compete and you can potentially beat anyone. And the other thing Jackson Dart is not doing, he is not turning the ball over. You see that a lot with rookie quarterbacks. He struggled against the Saints a few weeks ago in that shocking loss, but 0 turnovers in the 4 games since then.
Yeah, way to go, Breach. I appreciate your efforts on that one. My issue, bigger picture, though, guys, is that Brian Daboll still hasn't gotten this offense where it's supposed to be. He was the quarterback whisperer, quotations mark, in Buffalo with Josh Allen. We saw glimpses of that year 1 with Daniel Jones in New York. And, look, it's clear that he has quite the affection for Jackson Dart this season, but it hasn't translated, whether injuries or otherwise. So if they don't improve and substantially improve, there could be changes in the coaching staff and front office, in which case Jackson Dart is now going to be set back another year with a new coach and new GM. So I was hoping for more from Brian Daboll, as was the owners in New York. We just haven't quite seen it yet.
We will keep our eye out. There are a lot of moving parts when it comes to those head coaches as the season goes on. Breach, Wilson, appreciate the time.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? It's your boy Victor, back again here on Dallas Cowboys Today. And listen, this team just made another move that might not grab the headlines like the Quinnen Williams or Logan Wilson trades. But trust me, this one says a lot about what the Cowboys are thinking long term. The Cowboys have just brought back running back Malik Davis to the practice squad. Yeah, that's right, the same Malik Davis who's been grinding with this team since 2022. Undrafted out of Florida and always ready when his number gets called. Now, some of you might be thinking, Victor, why should I care about a practice squad running back? Well, here's why this move actually matters more than people realize. But before we get into it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Should Malik Davis get more real snaps this season? Let's see where Cowboys Nation stands on this one. Alright, first things first, we all know the Cowboys have been busy. Jerry Jones and this front office flipped the roster upside down during the bye week. You landed All-Pro DT Quinnen Williams from the Jets, a massive move to fix the middle of that D-line. Then you somehow stole linebacker Logan Wilson from the Bengals for a 7th-round pick. That's highway robbery, folks. But when those trades came through, Dallas had to clear roster space, and one of the names that got cut, Malik Davis. Fast forward to now, he's back. And to me, that shows this coaching staff values consistency, reliability, and trust in guys who know the system. For those who might have forgotten, Malik Davis has been with the Cowboys since 2022, undrafted out of Florida, a true grinder story. At Florida, he was a playmaker, 1,270 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, and 70 receptions for 726 yards. That's versatility. That's exactly the kind of all-around skill set Mike McCarthy loves in his running backs. And when he's actually gotten his chances, the dude has shown flashes. In his rookie season, he posted 161 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, and 6 catches for 63 yards, all in limited action. Not crazy numbers, but that's on very few carries, and he's averaged solid yards per touch when given reps. The biggest thing about Malik is this: he stays ready. This preseason, Dallas was short-handed at running back, and what did Malik do? He showed up 24 hours later and finished as the team's leading rusher in that game. That's the kind of guy you want in your building. Hungry, humble, and always ready to go when needed. Now here's the real talk. This isn't just a random practice squad signing. This tells me the Cowboys aren't completely confident with the current running back rotation. Tony Pollard's had some bright moments, but hasn't quite looked like that explosive breakaway guy we saw last year. Rico Dowdle's been solid, but depth is thin. And with a physical second half of the season coming up, they need insurance. Someone who already knows the playbook and can step in immediately if needed. Malik Davis gives them that. He's the bridge between the practice squad and the game day roster. And let's be honest, injuries happen. The Cowboys have been down that road before. If Pollard or Dowdle go down, Malik could easily be called up again, and he's proven he can handle that workload. Something else I love about this, it's a Cowboys culture move. You can tell Jerry and McCarthy are trying to create a locker room built on familiarity, work ethic, and trust. They want guys who've been through it with this organization, not mercenaries. Malik Davis has done the grind. Practice squad, special teams, active roster, back to practice squad, and every single time he's handled it like a pro. That matters. It's not always about the splash signings. Sometimes it's about keeping your locker room full of guys who set the tone every day in practice. Here's my honest take. Malik Davis is the kind of player that winning teams need. He's not your RB1. He's not your superstar, but he's the dependable guy who can save you in a pinch. If Pollard starts to wear down late in the season, and let's be real, he's taken some hits, Malik could absolutely step up and give this offense a spark. He runs hard, protects the football, and he's a legit weapon in the passing game when you use him right. So yeah, it's not the sexiest move in the world, but for a team trying to stay in the playoff hunt, it's a smart one. So Cowboys Nation, I gotta hear from you. Drop it down below. Do you think Malik Davis deserves a bigger role in this offense? Or should the Cowboys keep him as a practice squad safety net? Let me know what you think, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn those notifications on so you never miss a video here on Dallas Cowboys Today. I'm Victor, your die-hard Cowboys fan, living and breathing the blue and silver. And as always, go Cowboys!